Hey guys, so here's what happened. About a month ago, I went to this competition called Bay Area Speed Cube in 37 2022, which was in Berkeley. It had 3x3 blindfolded as an event, and the second scramble was pretty good, so I got a nice result of 30.85, which beat my previous PR by over 4 seconds and got me second place for the event. However, before 3 blind started, my phone ran out of battery, and because I hadn't been practicing 3 blind for about a month up to this competition, I didn't think to ask any friends to record it for me since I didn't think I was going to get anything good. So there was no footage of this 30.85 happening, which I'm kind of sad about. But I figured the best alternative I could do is try to reenact the solve and get a time as close to 30.85 as possible, record that, and upload it to YouTube. So that's what I'm going to show you now. So here's the scramble, and this is the cube. So just like everyone else, I memo corners, memo edges, and then I execute edges, and then execute corners. So the first thing I'm looking for when I'm lifting off the cube cover are the corners, and I see there's a ton of solved corners. There's actually 4. Now, I use WCA orientation, and I use UBL buffer, which I know isn't great. But in this case, UFR is also solved, so I don't think it really makes a difference. And I'm not going to float or anything. So that means I have to cycle break right off the bat. Now normally I would cycle break to one of the U layer stickers because the comms are better, but in this case I see that there's a red corner here that's the same color as the red center, which means that if I go here, then the comm will be 2 stickers on the right face, which is kind of good. So I decided to go to N, which is here, to O, because I use SPEFs. And I like starting the memo with NO, like the word no, because that means that the sentence I'm going to have to memorize will sound kind of like a slogan, like no drunk driving or no spinning around. So that's really good for memo at least. And it's also an 8 mover, so yay. Anyway, from O we go to here, D, and then from D we go to K. Now, in my memo, whenever I have a word with a K in it, I always put a little R next to it just so I can differentiate it from C. So D to K, D to C would be dick, but D to K would be dork. So we have no dork, and then this takes us back to N. So the whole memo is just N-O-D-K-N, which sounds like no dorkin', like no dorking around. And that's just so easy to remember. Just imagine like someone in middle school and they see their friends just goofing off and they're like, I don't like that, no dorking around. So I was really happy when I saw that. Also, it's just a single 4 cycle, which means that if you did start from like UFL or UBR, then you would only have 2 algs. You just have 1 3 cycle and then 1 parity alg or something. But I didn't do that, so we're gonna have 5. We're gonna have 5, which is 3 algs. And then I also do UBUL swap because we have parity since we have an odd number of targets. So okay, for edges, memoing edges now, I use the UF buffer, so in that one I'm a little better off. So we start off going all the way off by an M2 to WX, and for me X is the sh sound. So we have wash, we already hit our buffer, so that means I have to cycle break again, and I'm gonna go to A just because like U layer stickers are good again. So WX and then A to F, then R to M, and then this would normally go back to A, but because we're doing the UBUL swap, this actually belongs where D is over here. So we have wash, af, rum, and then DN, which is an 8 mover, so yay. Din, DN, din, and then this is J, and this sticker would normally be over here, but because of UBUL swap, it's back here, which is I, so Jai, J-I. And that means that we've hit the same piece that we cycle broke to, which means that we might be done. I thought maybe there might be like a 2 cycle or like a 2 flip or something, but when you look at the bottom, we have a 2 solved edges, which means we're actually done after only 10 targets or 5 edge algs, which is good because that means the whole solve is only 8 algs, and if you did float or start with a different buffer, then you have 7 algs. So that's a very good scramble. Then I would just execute, so put on the blindfold, and then we have WX, so I'm gonna move X into the buffer, do the W, which is M2, then undo, undo. So now W and X are solved. Now AF, I'm doing this like through the camera. R, M, so I'm just gonna do an R, L. And now it's like this 8 mover with the S interchange, like that. And then we have, what did I have after that? A DN, DN. And when I do that, it looks like this sticker is not, this piece is not solved, but it actually is. And then finally JI, Jai, so that's another 8 mover. Oops. Yeah, so there's actually a lot of 8 movers, which is kind of good. Now onto corners, we have no Dorkin, right? No Dorkin around. So N to O. It's an R interchange, kind of like if it were MN, we'd have Nicholas, but it's like NO, so it's kind of like a different version of Nicholas, whatever. And then Dorkin, so buffer to D to K. So I'm gonna move K over with a D prime, and then insert K into the buffer, move it over, and then put D where K was, move it back, and then undo the setup. And now we just have N, which is just parity, and I just will do an R2. I know this is bad, but I'll do an R2 setup to P, and then this is just the parity alg that like Noah Arthurs teaches in a very beginner OP tutorial. So I still know that, and then I just finished with an R2, and then the cube is solved. Hooray! This was 30.85 in the actual competition, but in my video reconstruction, where I tried to go about the same speed, it was 30.04, and my fastest ever at home is 26, so this was pretty close to my fastest ever. And I think if I were to beat this, given that 8 alg scrambles aren't that common, I think I just have to get faster or like switch to better algs, because I don't think I'll get this lucky again for a while. And I think that what this means to me is that sub 30 single, like I have to go for it now. Like in the past, I thought sub 30 was just an unattainable pipe dream. But now that I have a PR that is A30 within 1 second of sub 30 and it has no footage, like I do want my PR to have a video, so I have to beat it to get a PR video. But in order to beat it, I might as well go down an extra second and get sub 30. Given that my PR 2 months ago was a 43, to go from 43 to 33 plus 2 is 35 to 30 that quickly, I'm just really happy with that. Especially given that the 4 years prior to that, I only dropped 1 second from 44 to 43, and now in a few months it's 43 to 30.